Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News Channel. This is the TAFAMA and also chart analysis for December 8th, 2021. There's gonna be a couple of things that I'm gonna explain first. A lot of people were saying like you don't know TA because you don't talk about the EMA. I don't think those people realize that I talk about the EMA all the time. The EMA is just abbreviated for exponential moving average, which I have talked about every day since I have actually started this TA series. I thought people actually knew that EMA meant exponential moving average, but obviously they didn't. Now, I do actually look at it differently than a lot of TAers look at it. When they actually look at exponential moving average, they just kind of look at where we are now, the price right now compared to the exponential moving average. Since the exponential moving average is actually a weighted average that weights more towards the present, they basically think that, and with reason, that if the price is lower than the EMA, then that means it's bearish for the time period. If the price is higher than the EMA, then it's bullish for the time period. There's reason to that. I tend to look at the EMA versus the SMA, or the exponential moving average over the simple moving average. If the exponential moving average is greater than the simple moving average for a similar time period, then that means like if you weight it towards the more present, the momentum is actually on the bullish side. Conversely, if the exponential moving average is lower than the simple moving average, that means weighting it towards the present means like the last few weeks are lower than the overall. Last few weeks are actually lower than the overall average for that period of time. So if you combine these two approaches, you can actually get a better signal. For instance, if the exponential moving average is lower than the simple moving average, and today's price is even lower than the exponential moving average, then the signal is definitely sell. If the exponential moving average is higher than the simple moving average, and today's price is even higher than the exponential moving average, then that's a definite buy. Now, there's a lot in the middle. Like if the exponential average is lower than the simple moving average, but today's price is higher than the exponential moving average, then that would be a mixed signal, and that would actually require further analysis or basically what you actually feel. So with that actually explained out of the way, and the fact that I do use a lot of EMAs and SMAs, that's half of what the TA is actually based on. Let's actually get on to the analysis for today. So let's actually look at the oscillators. The RSI and the stochastic are neutral. The commodity channel index remains oversold, so that's a buy right there. But the average directional index is getting slightly stronger, only 1 or 2 points stronger per day. If it keeps on going in that direction, that means we are actually forming a trend, which would actually be bad considering what the commodity channel index is right now. But overall, the oscillators on the daily signals are neutral. In terms of the moving averages, it is a lot of sell on the daily. If you actually look at the exponential moving average and the simple moving average, the exponential is actually lower than the simple, and today's price is lower than the exponential, so that is a pretty strong sell sign on the 10. Same thing on the 20, same thing on the 30, same thing on the 50, same thing on the 100. And you get to the 200, and that kind of like changes, where the exponential is greater than the simple, and today's price is slightly lower than the exponential, but the difference doesn't make it not a buy. However, the problem with the 200 EMA right now is that the current price is under the 200 EMA, and that's a major momentum indicator for a lot of people. So due to that, we could actually have a psychological effect, and we actually could have another liquidation. And that would probably bring us down to around 45,000, which would honestly, we would actually recover from fairly quickly. So we might actually look for that later on in this week. And that's a chance for you to actually make some sell and trade if you believe that's going to happen. I'm not really going to trade because I'm just more of a long-term holder. And because I'm more of a long-term holder, I basically just rely on the price of Bitcoin and other coins to go up in the long term, which pretty much always works. But that's what it is right now. Like right now, all the way up to the 100, we're pointing at sell. The 200 is pointing at buy, but that's much more of a long-term thing. And because everything up to the 100 is strongly pointing up to the sell, If you using technical indicators, you would actually sell at this point and then maybe buy back in a couple $1,000s lower. So that's what the daily is actually telling you. On the weekly, there's very little change in the oscillators. They're all neutral. In terms of the SMA, EMA, and the SMA, the 10 week is definitely telling you to sell because once again the EMA is lower than the SMA and the current price is even lower than the EMA. Same thing for the 20 and the 30. Actually, no, the 30, the EMA is actually greater than the SMA, and the price right now is slightly less than the EMA. So it's kind of like on the 30 week, which is half a year, it's kind of like wishy-washy, and it really depends on the next few days. The rest of them, like moving back a year, 2 years, they're obviously buy, but at that point you're moving back way too long for crypto. So I would say right now it's kind of like still a trigger sell signal on the weekly at this point. So I would say like it's definitely more sell than buy right now on the weekly, especially if you are actually trading at this point. On the 1 month, everything is generally neutral. The directional index is getting slightly lower, but both the RSI and the stochastic are more leaning towards overbought, but they're not really overbought. The oscillator did not cross zero, so it doesn't really matter. And obviously all the moving averages for the monthly are screaming buy because the monthly is a very, very long time period. So like the only one that might not be screaming buy is the 10-month moving average, which is basically this year. If you go out back 2 or 3 years, it's obviously buy because we were in deep bearish season, 2 years ago and 3 years ago. So that doesn't really matter. I would honestly just look at the 10 right now, but this one is more complicated because the exponential moving average is significantly lower than the simple moving average, but yet our price right now is above both the exponential and the simple for the 10 months. So I think overall that means a buy on the last 10 months. So if you're looking at a longer time frame, monthly moving index, you should actually buy. So basically right now, the daily and the weekly look bearish and the monthly looks bullish. Because if you're buying on the monthly indicator, you're probably going to hold on for a much longer period of time. If you're holding on for several months, up to a year or more, it'd still be definitely rated a buy. But if you're buying on the daily and weekly, it could be rated bearish for right now on the technicals. For me, I'm not really sure. I do think if we actually do liquidate and go down to 43,000 maybe even a little lower, I do think we will bounce back pretty fast. So if I actually see it, if I was trading and buying, if I actually see it go down that low, that would be an immediate buy for me because I do think we will actually bounce back very, very fast from those prices. And I don't think there's much of a chance we're going to go to 35 or below 35. I see that as the bottom line. So if I see a sudden dip of like 4,000 or 5,000 points, that's definitely a buy right there because I don't think it's going to keep going down. I do think it's going to bounce back up. But there is a good chance for another long liquidation within the next few days. I personally, like I said, I'm not selling because we could actually come up very quickly as well. But since we've fallen below 50,000 and we've fallen below the 200 EMA, I do believe there is a decent possibility of another longs liquidation. So that is the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.